So right now I'm just a few kilometers outside of Houston, and right behind me is a little plateau where they are leveling it off so that they can start storing all of the pipe that is going to get hauled up the mountain. It's a pretty cool sight to see, and the pipe is expected to be brought here in just a few days, according to one source from Coastal GasLink. Now, I got my McDonald's donuts that I'm going to bring up all the way up to the right-of-way. That's where they're actually laying down the pipe, and it's about 100 kilometers up this road. So I got these nice little donuts from McDonald's. I just found out that they have these nice little gourmet donuts, and they're pretty cheap. Now, McDonald's doesn't sponsor my videos as much as I wish they sponsored my content. I just think they have great donuts, much better than Tim Hortons. If you want to help me out, though, if you want to help me out with my coverage, sharing the other side of the story, the side of the story that the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear, the side of the story that the radical leftist environmentalists who are co-opting the plight of Indigenous people, if you want to help me out, share this side of the story, please go to endtheblockades.com. And right now, something else that you could do is ring the bell at the bottom of this video on YouTube, right next to the subscribe button. Unfortunately, subscribing doesn't do all too much here on YouTube, but if you ring that bell, you'll stay up to date with all of my work, and it would go a long ways. And after this video is done, if you go to endtheblockades.com, that would go a long ways if you pitched in a few bucks to help me with this rental car that I got here, the hotel room, and flights that it took to get me all the way up here. Now, I'm going to take these McDonald's donuts all the way up this mountain that's behind me. It's about 100 kilometers in. It's going to be a bumpy ride, and I'm going to share my journey with you as I go up, and hopefully these donuts can buy me a little bit of goodwill with Coastal GasLink workers, and hopefully maybe they'll show me and allow me through some of these really private zones, and hopefully they'll let me in all the way up to the right of way where they're going to be laying the pipeline. So let's see if we can get there. I guess I'm in like official wet sweating territory now. They said to stop, which I did. I told them that I was going to Camp 9A, which is the main camp in this area where all of the pipes are going to be shipped to in a few days so that they can start laying them. And I guess she was convinced maybe I was a Coastal GasLink worker. Maybe she didn't know who I was. Either way, I'm on my way now, and I'm hopefully going to be able to chat with some Coastal GasLink workers. I think people need to be more educated on what's going on here, because when people say pipelines and when people buy into this left-wing mainstream media narrative, it sounds like they're just destroying the land. It sounds like, if you listen to Sephora Berman and her ilk, that they're creating some sort of Mordorish-like land. That's not the case. This land is beautiful. It's being kept in pristine condition, and the workers here are doing their level best to make sure that the land is left in the same or better state than what they found it in. So I've handed out a few donuts already, and I'm speaking to everyone I pass by. I just spoke to someone with CGL, and they say that if I go up any farther than this, there's a wet sweat and blockade where they're letting people who work for Coastal GasLink through, because that if they don't, I imagine they'd be arrested as per the injunction. But anyone else isn't allowed through. The security guard says that nobody's staffing the joint right now, so I'm going to try and get through slowly and see if I can get through without anyone seeing me. Hopefully so. I just want to hand out donuts to these heroes who are trying to get this pipeline in the ground, get China off of dirty coal, and supply jobs to thousands upon thousands of British Columbians trying to get natural gas to market. I think it's a reasonable thing to do. So the donuts have been a hit. I'm happy to say the donuts have been a hit. I've spoken with so many people here today, and it's been great. They're going to try and take me to the ROW, it's called, which is the right of way. Actually, I'm gonna follow this guy here. We're gonna see how close we can get. It depends on how many rock trucks there are, how safe it is. Safety is their top concern here for me and them, they said, which I think is great. I don't want to get in their hair, but I just want to show viewers what this country looks like, what this part of the country looks like, what the work they're doing looks like, and how much work they're doing to keep the environment and people here safe. So I'm gonna follow this fella, and we're gonna see. We're already it took me 2 hours to get here, up this road here. There's a few protesters. There was red dresses everywhere that the protesters were putting up, and I'm finally on this mountaintop area. It's just beautiful land. And we're gonna see, and I think there's 10 or so more kilometers to go, so hopefully we can make it all the way to the ROW. It was a 2 hour, 2.5, maybe even 3 hour journey to get to where I am standing right now. It's just very slippery. I should have worn more than runners. but I am just off of the right-of-way where the Coastal GasLink pipeline is being built. CGL has been so gracious with their time. They have said repeatedly that their priority is to make sure that everyone's safe. That's a reoccurring theme with them. They want to make sure the environment stays safe. They want to make sure the reporters and their workers stay safe. And I'm just now walking to the last little bit, last little stretch, because I'm not allowed on the right-of-way, they call it. The right-of-way is where the actual pipe will be put into the ground. I'm not wearing PPE, they say, so I can't actually step in that area where construction is currently underway. And I just got my first view of it here. I'll show it to you. And there it is. This is what's causing blockades across the country. This is the $6.6 billion pipeline that is going to bring British Columbian natural gas, not in the liquid form, keep in mind. This will be gaseous natural gas. It will be then sent to Kitimat, where it will then be it'll be cooled and pressurized to the point where it becomes liquid natural gas, and it will be shipped to markets in China. It will be shipped to those Southeast Asian markets that are desperate to get off of coal, which emit far more carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide equivalents with their coal. And if they are able to get their economies onto this clean liquefied natural gas, well, they're going to be in business, and it's going to be a huge boost to the environmental movement across the world. Now, this project has benefits for the environment both downstream all the way to the end and upstream. When it comes to China, like I said, they're going to be transitioning off of coal to this liquefied fuel, this natural gas. When it comes to them actually building this pipeline, they're doing everything that they possibly can to make sure that this beautiful part of the country remains pristine. I saw signs on the way here when it came to refueling, because there's lots of equipment here to do the grubbing and the clearing and the snow clearing. They say that you can't refuel in certain places. You can't even put fuel in your vehicle unless you're a certain distance away from waterways. I can't speak highly enough of how professional and courteous of both me and the environment Coastal GasLink has been, and I want to thank them for this little impromptu visit to the right-of-way here. I'm not sure if any reporters have actually been able to make it this far. I don't know if they've been committed to actually sharing this side of the story. The only thing that they want to share is the sexy blockades and violence that has erupted across the country because of what's going on right behind me. But as far as I understand it, nobody's actually bothered to show exactly how little of a footprint this has on the environment. I'm going to try and come back here as the work progresses, especially once the pipeline's actually in the ground, which I've spoken to some employees and they say it could take years. It could be another half a decade before the pipeline is actually operational. More than half a decade before the pipeline is operational. Now, I want to point out just a few more things before I sign off here on the Coastal GasLink right away. The people that I've spoken to on the way here while I've been handing out McDonald's donuts have told me a few things, and I've noticed a few things about them in my conversations with them. First off, I was interested to learn that one of them said that they're actually looking into getting lawyers to reclaim lost wages as damages from the radical Office of the Wet'suwet'en, who have tried their absolute damnedest to make sure that these people are out of jobs. They've lost months worth of wages, all at a time when they're stuck up here in northern BC. They have lost a lot of money, all at the hands of the radical Office of the Wet'suwet'en, who have been kicking out board members and hereditary chiefs who don't agree with their radical position, their position that is funded by out-of-country radicals like the Tides Foundation, the Pembina Institute, Forest Ethics, and a ton of others. The second thing I noticed is the racial makeup of the people that are working here on the pipeline. Probably 2 out of 3, maybe 1/2, but probably 2 out of 3 of the people that I've seen working here today, and I've seen about 30. About 2 out of 3 of them have been Indigenous. Now, to the radical environmentalists who have hijacked the plight of Indigenous people, I have one question for you. All of these people who I've spoken to today have families. Do you want these families to not have a mother and a father who have a job? The Indigenous people working here are doing their best to make sure that this pipeline is put into the ground in a way that respects the environment and in a way that respects the local economy here. Now, while I have you here, I have a quick favor to ask you. Could you ring the notification bell at the bottom of this video on YouTube? If you do that, you'll stay up to date with all of the work that I'm doing while I'm up here in northern BC sharing the other side of the story. It's important that you do that because subscribing is not enough on YouTube anymore. They won't keep you up to date with what's going on. You have to ring that bell. Now, to the radical blockaders and the radicals like Sephora Berman who are spurring them on. They've never bothered to come out here and see exactly how pristine the environment is and how little of an environmental footprint this pipeline actually has. Look at that right away there, how small of a tract of land that is. Once the pipeline is in the ground, you wouldn't even know that it's there. If you want to go to endtheblockades.com, you can pitch in a few bucks to help me with my coverage so that I can cover the other side of the story that the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear, the side of the story that the blockaders don't want you to hear, the side of the story that the blockaders, frankly, are covering their ears from hearing because they don't want to hear it. They want to continue on with their radical environmental position, pretending like they care about Indigenous issues, when at the end of the day, they couldn't care less about what goes on here. The only thing they care about is stopping the pipeline and stopping the jobs that it brings the people in this community. For Rebel News on the right-of-way of the Coastal GasLink pipeline, I'm Keean Bexte. Thanks so much for watching our coverage here on the right-of-way of the Coastal GasLink pipeline. If you support our coverage, please go to endtheblockades.com so that I can keep sharing the other side of the story with you.